1 minute ago, Mariah breaks her silence after 15 years. Diddy in court. The courtroom was frozen in disbelief when she entered. There was no fanfare, no flashing lights, just the silhouette of Mariah Carey walking through the side entrance of the courthouse, clad in a long black coat and oversized sunglasses. Her entrance wasn't anticipated, not by the audience, the press, or even the security team. The room, once buzzing with the hum of legal proceedings, grew eerily quiet as she made her way to the witness stand. She wasn't there to entertain or perform. She was there to reclaim her truth. Diddy sat motionless at the defense table. His usually unshakable confidence was gone, replaced by an unmistakable tension in his posture. His jaw clenched, his eyes narrowed, but he didn't flinch as Mariah stepped up to testify. The prosecutor asked her, "Miss Carey, can you start by telling the court why you are here today?" With a slow breath, Mariah gave her answer quietly, yet powerfully. "I'm not here for headlines. I'm here because I saw something I wish I hadn't, and I've carried it with me for years." Her words pierced the air, the weight of them settling into the minds of everyone present. For years, she had kept silent just as the industry had demanded. "There's a culture in this industry," she continued, "a silent one. You're taught early on that whatever happens behind closed doors stays there." It was a lesson many had learned, but Mariah was no longer willing to stay quiet. She was speaking now, and her voice was carrying not just her own story, but the stories of countless others who had been silenced. The tension in the room became palpable as Mariah revealed the truth that had been buried for so long. She recounted a night in 2005 when she first encountered Diddy in a private recording session. What was supposed to be a business opportunity quickly turned into something much darker. She was asked to be part of a collaborative project not as an artist, but as a symbol. When she turned down the offer, the consequences were swift and brutal. Calls stopped, projects were delayed, and suddenly her career was at a standstill. The sabotage, she said, wasn't overt. It was the subtle kind, the kind that erases an artist's name from the conversation without anyone ever having to speak it out loud. Her voice, steady and unwavering, made it clear this was no coincidence. This was a system at work, one that retaliates against those who dare to challenge the power dynamics behind closed doors. It wasn't the sabotage that hurt the most, Mariah said, her voice soft but firm. It was the silence. The way everyone around me nodded like this was normal, like I should have expected it. And in that moment, as she spoke those words, the entire courtroom understood. Mariah Carey wasn't just a pop icon anymore, she was a survivor. And in speaking her truth, she had detonated a bomb that would echo far beyond the walls of that courtroom. Mariah Carey's story is one of extraordinary talent, resilience, and an unshakable determination to overcome adversity. Born on March 27, 1969 in Huntington, New York, Mariah was raised in a mixed-race household. Her mother, Patricia, was a former opera singer, and her father, Alfred, an aerospace engineer of African-American and Venezuelan descent. Although the family was steeped in music and artistic expression, they struggled with financial hardship and racial prejudice. Patricia, deeply committed to her daughter's potential, faced many personal and professional challenges, often struggling to make ends meet while cultivating Mariah's musical interests. From an early age, Mariah showed a remarkable gift for singing. Her ability to mimic any vocal style paired with a naturally wide vocal range that spanned 5 octaves set her apart from most children. As a child, she loved to sing along to artists like Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston, emulating their powerful voices and developing a deep respect for the craft. Music became an escape from the racial and economic tensions she witnessed in her household, and for a time it was the one constant in her life. Her early years were marked by her mother's strained relationship with her father, which ultimately led to their separation when Mariah was just 3 years old. Despite this turbulence, Patricia remained a strong guiding force in Mariah's life. She recognized her daughter's potential and was fiercely determined to help her develop it. However, there were challenges. Not only did the family struggle financially, but Mariah also faced racial discrimination and prejudice in her predominantly white neighborhood. These experiences shaped her understanding of both music and the world, reinforcing her desire to prove herself and stand apart from the societal expectations others tried to impose on her. Mariah's first significant break came in her teenage years. After graduating from high school, she moved to New York City to pursue her dream of becoming a singer. Initially, things were tough. She worked odd jobs to support herself while hustling to make connections in the competitive world of music. Her big break came in 1988 when she was introduced to Tommy Mottola, the head of Columbia Records, at a party. At the time, Mottola was known for his ability to spot talent, and upon hearing Mariah's demo tape, he immediately signed her to a record deal. Her debut album, Mariah Carey 1990, catapulted her into the spotlight. The album went multi-platinum, and its lead single, Vision of Love, showcased her extraordinary vocal range, winning her a Grammy Award for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. The album's success cemented her place in the music industry, but it was just the beginning of a much larger journey. As her career took off, Mariah was quickly recognized not just for her technical ability, but also for her ability to blend pop, R&B, and gospel influences into a distinctive sound that was all her own. Mariah's meteoric rise to fame was not without its struggles, however. Behind the scenes, she was quickly thrust into a whirlwind of industry politics, media scrutiny, and personal challenges. The pressure of being thrust into the limelight at such a young age was overwhelming, and Mariah struggled with the expectations placed upon her. Despite the success of her first album, she often felt isolated in the music industry, where she was seen not just as an artist, but as an asset to be managed. She was expected to be perfect not only in her singing, but also in her public persona, a role that was at odds with her true self. Her marriage to Tommy Mottola in 1993 was another defining moment in her career and personal life. Although their relationship initially appeared to be a fairy tale, it soon became clear that Mottola, who was nearly 2 decades her senior, exercised a great deal of control over her professional and personal life. His dominance and the intense media scrutiny that followed their high-profile marriage put an immense strain on Mariah. Despite her incredible success, she felt trapped in an image that was dictated by others, and her creative freedom was limited by the constraints imposed on her by Mottola and the music industry. During their marriage, Mariah released Music Box 1993, which produced some of her most iconic hits, including Hero and Dream Lover. The album solidified her status as one of the world's biggest pop stars. However, beneath the surface, Mariah was becoming more and more disillusioned with the constraints of her personal life and the control Mottola exerted over her career. She began to yearn for creative freedom, a desire that would later become a pivotal part of her identity as an artist. In 1997, Mariah's relationship with Tommy Mottola ended, and so too did her ties to the image she had been forced into. Her next album, Butterfly 1997, marked a major shift in her musical style and public persona. She embraced a more hip-hop and R&B-infused sound, collaborating with producers like Sean Puffy Combs and Missy Elliott. It was a bold move that showcased her versatility and desire to break free from the constraints of the past. The album was a commercial and critical success, and its lead single, Honey, marked a turning point in her career. But while Butterfly marked the beginning of her independence, Mariah was still navigating the complexities of the music industry. Her personal life continued to be a focal point for the media, and her struggles with the pressures of fame were well documented. During this time, she faced a personal crisis, which she later revealed as a mental health struggle that led to a public breakdown. Her relationship with the industry, especially with figures like Diddy, became more complicated as she tried to reclaim her identity as both an artist and a woman in control of her own narrative. Through it all, Mariah's resilience shone through. Despite her public struggles, she continued to reinvent herself. She faced criticism, personal losses, and betrayal, but never stopped creating. Her 2005 album, The Emancipation of Mimi, was a triumphant return to the top of the charts. The album's success, marked by hits like We Belong Together, was a testament to her artistic evolution and her ability to stay relevant in an ever-changing music landscape. It was a personal and professional victory, showing that Mariah Carey was no longer just a pop star, she had become a symbol of survival. Yet as we will explore, the trials she faced in the music industry were far from over. The culture of manipulation and retaliation she spoke about in court didn't disappear after her success. It was the silent war she had to fight behind the scenes for many years, and it's a fight that continues to reverberate through the industry today. Mariah's foundation was built on more than just talent. It was built on a profound understanding of power, perseverance, and the importance of speaking out no matter the cost. Mariah Carey's rise to fame was nothing short of meteoric, fueled by an exceptional voice, undeniable talent, and a combination of luck and relentless drive. Her journey from a struggling, unknown singer to one of the most iconic pop artists of all time is a story of perseverance, triumph, and the relentless pursuit of artistic expression. In 1988, Mariah Carey moved to New York City, determined to make a name for herself in the music industry. Armed with nothing but a demo tape and an unshakable belief in her talent, she set out to find a producer who could help her break into the business. Her big break came when she met Tommy Mottola, the head of Columbia Records, at a party. Mottola was captivated by Mariah's demo tape and signed her to a contract almost immediately. He saw in her a rare combination of vocal ability, beauty, and potential for mass-market appeal. At the time, Mariah was only 19 years old, but her voice, capable of reaching 5 octaves, was already one of the most powerful and unique instruments in pop music. Her debut album, Mariah Carey, released in 1990, showcased her extraordinary vocal range and undeniable presence. The album's first single, Vision of Love, became an instant hit, topping the charts and winning Mariah her first Grammy Award. The song's soaring vocals and emotional depth introduced the world to an artist who could effortlessly blend pop, R&B, and gospel influences. It was a breath of fresh air in a music industry that was dominated by male artists and more conventional sounds. The album quickly went multi-platinum, marking Mariah's official arrival on the global stage. With the success of her debut album, Mariah became an overnight sensation. The combination of her incredible vocal ability and her striking beauty made her a media darling. She was heralded as the next big thing in pop music, a title she would hold for decades. Her soaring voice and ability to reach notes that most singers could only dream of, coupled with her emotional delivery, set her apart from the rest of the pop landscape. But what really made Mariah special was her ability to connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level. Her music wasn't just a showcase of technical ability, it was an extension of her soul. Following the success of her debut album, Mariah Carey was quickly recognized as one of the most important artists in the world. Her second album, Emotions 1991, further solidified her place at the top of the pop world. The album's title track, Emotions, not only topped the charts, but also demonstrated Mariah's ability to explore a wider range of genres. The album's success was propelled by Mariah's insistence on creative control and her refusal to be pigeonholed into one specific genre. She seamlessly blended pop, R&B, and gospel sounds, creating a sound all her own that would become her trademark. Despite her young age, Mariah was already proving herself to be a force to be reckoned with in the industry. She was not just a pop star, she was a musical innovator, constantly pushing the boundaries of what pop music could be. As her career grew, so did her sense of independence. She worked tirelessly on each album, ensuring that every note and lyric reflected her true self. Her third album, Music Box 1993, was yet another triumph, spawning hits like Dream Lover and the emotionally powerful Hero. The album's success was unprecedented, becoming one of the best-selling albums of all time. By the mid-1990s, Mariah Carey had firmly established herself as one of the most successful and influential artists in the world. Her popularity knew no bounds, and she was admired by fans, critics, and fellow musicians alike. Yet behind the success and adoration, there was a darker side to Mariah's journey. The pressures of fame, combined with the demands of her marriage to Tommy Mottola, the head of Columbia Records, began to take a toll on her. Despite her success, Mariah felt trapped in an image created by Mottola and the record label. He controlled much of her professional life, dictating everything from her musical direction to her public persona. The marriage between Mariah and Tommy Mottola was under intense scrutiny, and the media focused just as much on their personal lives as their professional achievements. The couple, despite being immensely wealthy and powerful, faced personal struggles. Mottola was controlling and at times possessive, and Mariah, despite her overwhelming success, often felt like she had no control over her own life. She began to grow resentful of the confines placed on her, both by the media and her relationship. Her desire to break free from the pressures of the industry and assert her independence grew stronger. It was during this period of growing frustration that Mariah began to embrace her desire for creative freedom, an act that would shape her future as an artist. Her fourth album, Butterfly 1997, was a significant departure from her earlier work. The album's R&B and hip-hop influences, as well as its deeper, more personal themes, marked a radical shift in her sound and public image. The album's hit singles like Honey and Butterfly showcased a more mature, self-assured Mariah, one who was ready to take control of her own narrative. The release of Butterfly was a turning point in Mariah's career. It was her declaration of independence from both her former husband and the expectations of the industry. However, despite the success of Butterfly, Mariah's battles with the music industry were far from over. Her marriage to Mottola ended in 1997, and she became more vocal about her desire to break away from the constraints placed on her. In the years that followed, she faced personal and professional setbacks, including her high-profile breakdown in 2001. The breakdown, which included a widely publicized hospital stay, was the result of a combination of stress, personal trauma, and the pressures of maintaining her public persona. The media and critics were quick to label her as a diva or unstable, but Mariah, as always, pushed through the challenges, using her music as an outlet for her emotional and personal recovery. Her comeback came in 2005 with The Emancipation of Mimi, a raw and reflective album that redefined her career. The album marked the beginning of Mariah's true reclamation of her voice, not just in terms of her music, but in terms of her place in the industry. The album's lead single, We Belong Together, became one of her most iconic hits, topping the charts for weeks and reaffirming her place at the top of the music world. Mariah Carey's rise to fame wasn't just a product of her natural talent. It was also the result of her relentless determination to prove herself. Time and time again, she faced obstacles that might have broken others. But Mariah's perseverance, her dedication to her art, and her refusal to conform to the industry's standards allowed her to rise above the noise. She was no longer just a pop star, she was a force of nature, a woman who had fought for her place in the music world and who had earned the right to tell her own story no matter the cost. Beneath Mariah Carey's shimmering success and public adoration lies a darker, often concealed narrative, one shaped by manipulation, betrayal, and a fight for control in a music industry that had a tendency to exploit its brightest stars. While the world watched as Mariah climbed to the top, few knew the cost of her journey. Behind closed doors, she was often forced to navigate the toxic realities of fame, especially the power dynamics and manipulations orchestrated by those in charge. The industry that catapulted Mariah to superstardom was also the same one that sought to control her at every turn. Her early career was dominated by her marriage to Tommy Mottola, the head of Columbia Records, a man who not only controlled her professional trajectory, but also her personal life. The relationship, initially one of mutual respect and admiration, soon became suffocating. Mottola was known for his manipulative tendencies, often controlling not just her image but her every move. As Mariah's career flourished, the pressure of living up to the perfection demanded by both Mottola and the media took a personal toll on her. She was no longer just an artist, she was a commodity to be shaped, packaged, and marketed. The constraints of this relationship became unbearable, especially as Mariah began to assert her creative independence. In 1997, after years of struggling under Mottola's reign, Mariah made a bold and painful decision: she divorced him. It was the beginning of her reclaiming control over her career and personal life. But this newfound freedom did not come without its own set of challenges. As Mariah began to redefine herself musically, she faced subtle retaliation from the very industry that had once celebrated her. Diddy, once an ally, emerged as a figure of control, particularly as Mariah sought to break away from the constraints of her earlier work. The power dynamics in the music world became even more apparent. Mariah's refusal to conform to expectations led to professional sabotage. Projects were pulled, contracts delayed, and opportunities that seemed within reach were yanked away. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern of behavior aimed at keeping powerful women like Mariah in check. What's often not discussed is the mental and emotional toll this relentless battle took on Mariah. While the world celebrated her success behind the scenes, Mariah was struggling with feelings of isolation and self-doubt. She had been labeled as difficult, or diva-like terms often used to silence and diminish powerful women in the industry. The internal conflict between her desire for creative freedom and the industry's demand for conformity resulted in a mental health crisis. In 2001, after a series of highly publicized incidents, including a breakdown during her Glitter album release, Mariah found herself hospitalized. The media eagerly pounced, branding her as a cautionary tale, but what they failed to see was a woman under immense pressure, breaking under the weight of expectations and emotional exhaustion. Her return in 2005 with the emancipation of Mimi was more than just a musical comeback, it was a reclaiming of her narrative. The album's success, particularly the hit single We Belong Together, marked not just a return to form, but a triumphant reclamation of her power. However, the shadow of past manipulations, the silencing of her voice, and the toll of years spent fighting the industry's systemic control never fully dissipated. Though Mariah's rise to fame is often celebrated as a triumph, the untold truth of her journey is one of survival, navigating the hidden dangers of fame, overcoming emotional turmoil, and breaking free from the chains of a system designed to break her. Her ability to rise above these challenges is a testament to her resilience and her unwavering commitment to reclaiming her own story. Mariah Carey's story isn't just one of fame, it's a narrative of survival strength and the ultimate power of truth. After years of being silenced by industry giants, manipulated by those who controlled her, and dismissed as just another diva, Mariah stood up and fought back. Her testimony in court wasn't just a moment of vindication, it was a revolution in real time, a woman reclaiming her voice and her narrative, no longer afraid of the power that sought to erase her. By the time the verdict was delivered, the world knew silence had been her prison, but speaking her truth had set her free. She had taken control of her story, and in doing so, she shattered the illusion of invincibility that the industry tried so hard to maintain. Mariah's courage in the face of overwhelming pressure set a powerful example for anyone who's ever felt silenced. Now, as you reflect on Mariah's journey, ask yourself, how many others are out there still living in silence, too afraid to speak their truth? Join the conversation. Share your thoughts, your stories, and stand with those who have the courage to speak up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence, because we're just getting started.